This is a great turnout. Okay, we just started the recording, so I'll share a bit more about that in a moment. And I think Steph is going to start a screen share for us as well, so that we can walk through some slides together. But just to kind of kick off the meeting, I just really want to thank everyone for being here. I know it's been a long road and we've made a lot of great progress that we're excited to share with everyone tonight. And just really thank you for making the time. I know it's not easy to set aside evening hours, and some of us may have kids in and out of the frame, and that's totally fine. So just to set the stage a little bit here, for the nature of this meeting, we've really envisioned this as more of kind of a town hall style community meeting. I know many of you who've been actively involved through this entire process have been a part of some of our more participatory design workshops, and I hope that you'll see some of the fruits of that labor reflected in some of what you'll see tonight. But really the goal of tonight is not so much sort of that roll up your sleeves design work as it is the project team being able to present really some much needed updates to the community, really related to the budget, the scope, the schedule, and also we'll touch on program relocation, which I know is becoming an even more urgent, is currently an urgent issue. That's really to set the stage. And Steph, we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to briefly share the agenda. And for those of you who may be on your phones or don't have easy access, I just want to quickly read this out. So we'll start now. We're going to do some quick welcome and intros between now and 6:15. Then the first part of the meeting is from 6:15 to 7 o'clock, where we will touch on the budget, project budget and scope. We'll take a brief break, and then we'll come back at 7:05 for the second part, where we'll touch on schedule and program relocation. We'll have a Q&A, and then we'll move on to closing. And so just a few guidelines, which I'm sure we're all used to at this point, but if you could mute your mic if you're not speaking, that will just help all of us to be able to hear a little bit better. You're welcome at any time to drop questions in the chat. Steph Garcia, our engagement specialist, will be monitoring the chat. So you're welcome to send her a direct message if you'd rather, and she can read a question at the appropriate time. You can put a chat to everyone, or you can also unmute and ask questions. And we'll try to pause and give chances for folks to ask questions as we're kind of going through tonight. And of course, take care of yourself. If you have family members you're looking after, if you're eating, drinking, take care of yourself, take breaks, camera on or off, that's completely up to you. And if you are on your computer, you can sort of use that divider to toggle over if you want to see more faces versus if you want to see more of the presentation. As you heard at the beginning, the meeting is being recorded. And we do that so that for folks who were unable to attend, that they can watch later and get the information. So now a few brief intros. So I'm Claire Laver. I'm the Executive Director of Make the World Better. And I've been in this with the organization for 7 years. I think some of you, but maybe not all of you, know that I will be moving on soon from my position, which is very bittersweet for me. My last day is February 11th. But I very much look forward to following the project and staying connected just from a different perspective. So I just wanted to share that and just thank you all for the tremendous work and passion and partnership that we've had. And to that end, just quickly, I just wanted to call attention to some of the folks from our team who are on. As I mentioned, Steph Garcia is running point on the meeting here, along with Tiffany Milner, who's our Director of Strategic Programs. Alize Allison is our newest hire, and he's our Director of Capital Projects. And you'll be hearing from him in a little bit. And then our founders, Connor Barwin, Jeff Tubbs, and Margaret Bailey are also on. Steph will put in the chat just how to contact us. The team at mtwb.org goes to all of us. We all see that, and there's other ways to be in touch. I know many of us have direct lines of communication as well. Just moving on from there, I just also wanted to acknowledge and welcome the Advisory Council, Yasmin, Warren, Nicole, and Sharima. Thank you and welcome. And I wanted to give our city partners a chance to just introduce themselves. Maybe Kira, I'll start with you. Kira Strong, the Executive Director of Rebuild. And Kira, if you wouldn't mind also just calling out your other team members who are on, that would be helpful.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Really nice to be here this evening. And thank you again to echo Claire so much for taking time out of your schedules to be here. And as you have done in the past as well, to lend your expertise to this project. It's just so appreciated. I'm Kira Strong. I'm the Executive Director of Rebuild. I have the great pleasure of working with MTWB. All of you, obviously, you'll hear more from our partners as we go, but the Commissioner, Catherine Ott-Lovell, who is on this call, Councilman and Rep Harris, I see. So thank you, everybody, for being here and the partnership that is making this project really sing. And on our Rebuild team, we have Angie Dixon here. We have Amanda Cologne-Smith. We have Heather McLean. We have Kara Meadow. And we have Aisha Herring-Miller, all from the Rebuild team. Did I forget anybody that came in that I didn't see? Apologies if I did. We've got a big group. All right. Thanks all. With that, I think, Claire, pass it to Catherine.
Yeah, let's pass it to Catherine.
Hey, everybody. My name is Catherine Ott-Lovell. I'm the Commissioner for Philly Parks and Rec. So excited to see so many familiar faces here, and you know, really excited for this just one more milestone in the transformation of Vare Recreation Center. You know, just continue to be totally excited and inspired by what's going to happen at Vare, and you know, it's all feeling very real given that we've relocated programs and closed the building, and you know, it's getting real, and you know, just it can't come soon enough. So thanks to everybody on this call who have been working so hard, you know, to get this project started and to bring it across the finish line in the near future. You know, just thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Parks and Recreation for, you know, making this miracle happen. I want to certainly thank all of the Parks and Recreation staff, so many other capacities, and I it's hard to see who's here, but I think I saw Katie McGurk, our rec leader. Katie, hi. Tess Doney is on, our civic engagement manager, and Tom Dignam is our program director. Who did I miss? Did I miss anyone? Park and Rec.
It's Smith.
Corinne on? Oh, Corinne Smirker's on. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Corinne, how are you?
I'm very
Mike-
good.
Lisa Summers is here
I'm
too.
sorry.
Hey, Lisa Summers.
How you doing?
Hi. Hey, Corinne, aren't you guys at practice? What are you taking a break?
Definitely wouldn't take a break. Apparently, the clearances that we have for USAG don't match up with Temple, so I was on the rush to get everything in. So I'm down one more clearance, 2 out of 3, but they're saying possibly tomorrow, but we'll wait and see.
All right. Well, let me know if you need my help with that.
Thank you so
and
much.
then I think Miss Cecile Case is on too. Is that right? She might be in multiple capacities. She's here on multiple capacities. But hey, Miss Cecile, I think Demetrius is on, if I see that name, if that's the same Demetrius I know and love. He's a Parks and Rec guy too.
That's
me, Catherine.
Hey, Demetrius. That might be all of us.
Thank you, Catherine. It's so good to see you all. And Councilman, love to give you a chance to say hello.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
Good,
Hope
how
all
are
is
you?
well. I'm doing pretty good. I hope all is well with everyone. I'm just excited. And so just shout out to Make the World Better Foundation for doing this community update. And just looking forward to, I want to give a special shout out to State Representative Jordan Harris, who have applied, who have committed and brought home additional funding for this particular project, something like $750,000. But all that goes toward helping us. We know we have some budget constraints and so forth, because this is going to be the best project that's going to be here in the city of Philadelphia. So that's what I'm excited about, Claire. Give you a shout out, Claire, your public roses now for all that you have done to get us to this point, you know, as you make your transition. I know you're a mom now and, doing all those type super mom things. And so we want to commend you on all the work that you have done to get us to this point, and wish you the best with your future endeavors. And just want to give a shout out to Catherine Level-Ott, the advisory committee, Pastor David Ing, as well as Yasmin and Nicole, who have been staying on top of me about this particular project, saying, what's going on, what's going to be the next phase. And so it's definitely a ground up, but I just wanted to thank everybody. I'm excited, and let's go. This is going to be the best rebuild site in the city of Philadelphia. We're not talking about just outdoors,
All
just the
right.
playground or the basketball court. We're talking about the best indoor facility ground up in the city of Philadelphia. I'm standing on that. Thank you, Connor Bowen, Jeffrey Tubbs.
Hell yeah, Kenyatta. It's going to be the best, Catherine. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, it
Thank you.
is. Woo!
Thank
And
you.
Claire, if I can just jump in, I want to give a huge shout out to Rep Harris. Bringing
Yes.
home that bacon from Harrisburg is not easy. It ain't
No, I
easy.
second that.
It ain't
Woo.
easy. He's doing it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's huge.
Yeah, it looks like you're joining us from Harrisburg. Love to give you a chance to say a few words as well.
Sure. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Jordan.
For those that, how you doing? For those that don't know me, I am State Representative Jordan Harris. And as you can see, I am in Harrisburg. We were in session today, and I have several staff members on here who are going to be on the whole time. I will have to jump because I have other meetings that I have to go to. We're finishing up maps, legislative maps, and a whole lot of other things here in the Capitol late. Thank you to all of the community folks who are here, all of the folks who stay on me and the councilman about this project, all of the group text messages that were in about this project and about what's going on. The councilman reached out to me some months ago and was like, yo, we're $1 million short on Vare. I need you to get some money from Harrisburg. And I was like, all right. So I think we're up to, I think the actual number is $775,000 in state funding so far. And we're going to see what else we can get out of Harrisburg to make sure that this, as the councilman said, is the best rebuild project in the city of Philadelphia. Shout out, I see Connor and Jeff. Yo, it's crazy that we're doing this. I mean, if we didn't did this, you got Smith, you got Ralph Brooks. Like this, if we do what we did there, this is going to be an amazing project. So I'm excited, and we are committed to making sure that this happens. And if there's anything else that we need to do and get from Harrisburg, we will do that. I will say this: I've been in talks with our state senator, Senator Williams, as well. And hopefully the senator will be able to bring some resources from the Senate side, because that's a whole nother pot of money that we can get money out of. And I'm talking to him. He's committed to working the Harrisburg angles as well to make sure that this project has all of the resources that it needs. So thank you all. And I'm really, really excited about seeing what we're going to do at Vare Rec Center.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Jordan, Kenyatta, Catherine, and Kira. We're just so fortunate to have you fighting for us in this city, and Jordan, particularly on the state level, really means a lot. So let's move on to the rest of the agenda, because this is a good segue. We're going to touch on budget. And as you've heard some teasers about, there's some good updates on the budget, so we can go into that slide. So I will start by saying, I think everyone knows that one of the biggest challenges at this site was, even with a very generous budget, the needs were just so great. And you all had so many needs and visions and ideas for how the new Vare could work and how it could serve the community. And, you know, even a lot of money gets stretched pretty thin when you're talking about new construction and new buildings and a full site plan. So we were able to work together as a group and increase the budget for Vare, which is really going to help us meet a lot of those needs and sort of fill that gap. So I can talk in a little more detail about some of those grants that we've been referencing. But Kira, I don't know if you wanted to step in here and just kind of speak to this budget increase.
I think, you know, as we already just gave a lot of shout outs and kudos to the entire team for their efforts, and Councilman and Rep Harris, you guys obviously especially, and the Make the World Better team as well. We need all the dollars we can get, and your efforts are paying off and have enabled us to begin to expand this budget. So as folks can see, we've increased it nearly $5 million to be able to meet the needs of the site. As everybody here knows, it's a big site with a lot of needs, and we want to do our best, as we're all saying, to make it the best, even though rebuild doesn't play favorites. Really want to make sure the site gets what it needs. So really happy we were able to bring that increase to bear, and thanks for the collective effort to do that.
Thank you, Kira. We're very appreciative. I know I speak for everyone when I say that.
Can I add one last comment regarding this particular budget? Claire, if that's okay. For
Yes.
Kara, but most importantly, for all of the community advocates who are on this call, all of the parents that utilize this space, the gymnastics team that's calling me because they don't have a place to go to, the basketball teams that have to relocate to another place. I just encourage you, but I also challenge you to get in contact with your congressional delegation as well, because I believe that this needs to be an intergovernmental supported projects. And so the state has found ways to bring back funding. I believe the congressional delegation should also be doing the same thing to bring back funding for our parks and our recreational facilities. And so I just wanted to use this as an opportunity, as a call to action for this particular call, to make people really get other individuals involved on our congressional level to help us out from a funding standpoint. And so I believe when there's a will, there's a way that they can get it done. That's all.
Councilman, can you drop that information in the chat so that everybody has it available in terms of who to contact and how to contact them?
Absolutely. I'll make sure it gets done. Yes.
Claire,
Thank
can I
you.
chime in with one highlight, or if you want to chime in with the highlight of the news of the day, because it really, I think the power of Connor's partnership and your work and grant writing, et cetera, really landed something today. Do you guys want to mention that?
Sure. So we touched on the 2 state grants, which is phenomenal. Those are one from DCNR, which is the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, for $525,000. The other state grant is through the DCED Greenways Trails and Recreation Program for $250,000. So again, we thank Rep Harris for the support on that. And the other one that was just announced today is from the NFL Grassroots Program, which is in partnership with LISC. And we received a $250,000 grant that can be applied directly to the field. So you'll see in the notes here, most of these types of grants are specific to one or another element of the budget. So you can kind of see how that's filling out, that these grants are supporting, you know, the outdoor basketball courts, the splash pad, the playground, landscaping and pedestrian improvements, and the field. So it's really a holistic look at a lot of the outdoor amenities at the site. So that was just announced today. So thank you, Kira. And so that totals over $1 million in those grants. And so Rebuild and Make the World Better are working just to ensure that the full budget is met. We're very far along in that regard, and we're assisting MTWB in terms of doing some additional fundraising as well, to try to offset the burden here and to ensure that we can really keep all of these amenities in the project. So I just wanted to pause and allow for any questions. There may be, Steph, are there any questions in the chat or anyone who would like to speak?
Coach Ed, I see that your hand is raised. I'm not sure if you have a question.
No, I just wanted to say hello to everybody, and we did find a gymnasium that we could use. We'll be starting within a week or two. Athletics at 26 and Masters.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy
I
to.
want to thank you, Katie.
Yeah. Shout out, Katie.
That's great.
Thanks, Coach Ed. Does anyone else have any questions about the budget right now? Again, we'll be having a Q&A at the end as well. I see a young Chances. Tyreek, is that you? Do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I was just wondering, as far as any of the budgets that was out, a lot of the programs and community groups that used was those fundings allow for space and equipment to assist their existing programs when they went to different facilities.
So was your question pertaining to the more immediate need for programming in terms of the shifting to new facilities on the short term?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know that, oh, we have a young visitor with Catherine. I know that later in the agenda, we'll be talking about program relocation. These particular grants are specific to the construction. But I know that Parks and Rec is working actively on this program relocation and support plan. So if it's okay, we'll touch on that a little bit later in the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, I think it'd be helpful at this point to move on to the next slide where we start to talk about and look at kind of the scope and really what is currently in the scope. So I'm going to, oh, and I should have introduced, I think we have several members of our design team on as well. I believe Eric, Ian, and Lauren, as far as I can see, from our architecture and landscape architecture teams respectively. So I will turn it over to Alize, and then I'm sure Lauren will be chiming in as well.
Great, thank you, Claire, for the introduction. And again, my name is Alize Allison. And first of all, I really just wanted to thank everyone, particularly Jeff, Connor, and Claire for bringing me on board. I'm the newest hire here at Make the World Better. So I started as Director of Capital Projects just after Thanksgiving. And certainly being a guy who was born on Broad Street at Temple University Hospital, who was educated here at the Wharton School and has 5 kids, many of which are in school age. This is just a dream project for me. So really happy to be a part of the team, work with such esteemed colleagues, and happy to meet all of you guys. So I'm going to really quickly just go through very high level the plan. I'm sure some of you may have seen this or other versions of this, and for some of you it may be new. But I'll start kind of with the main multi-purpose field and kind of work my way clockwise around the plan. But as you see here, we're going to have a full regulation multi-purpose field that can be utilized for multiple sports. We kind of see football and soccer annotated here. Some of the changes from the last plan, we've added benching along the sides for the players and really kind of coordinated things. The entire field would be comprised of turf for the most part, as opposed to natural grass, making it easier to maintain. Certainly, I think we've removed some of the trees from around the edge of the field, the kind of difference between what was shown in the last plan. As we kind of go clockwise around the plan, you'll notice this is kind of a gray area here, which is the pool area, which is out of the scope of this project and not part of any of the renovations that we will be doing. It's our understanding that the pool is operating and functional. There were some minor repairs that were done previously, and it will continue to operate, but it is out of the scope for what we would be doing here. As we kind of continue on, we have 2 full regulation basketball courts that are persistent here, and ultimately that programming that happens there, the basketball will be obviously accompanied with what we get to do inside the building. As you kind of move further down the plan, we get into kind of the playground area, and from this version, compared to the last plan, we've really embellished a lot of the equipment selection. We're able to add a really cool splash pad area for kids that may not be able to swim or might not be able to have the means, or younger children. And as you kind of move from the purplish area on, you kind of can see a rectangle here that's orange, which kind of denotes where we would have a kind of a performance space area where folks could gather. There's a stoop off of the back edge of the building where ultimately could be used for a stage to promote whatever activities are going on, as well as inflatable screens where folks oftentimes will do the movies in the summer. we were able to really kind of dig in and annotate a lot of the furnishings and really drill down on what it is that this thing is going to look like. And you'll see some renderings here towards the end. But wanted to just kind of give an opportunity. I'm not sure if KDI and Lauren is still on, or Steve had saw if there's any additional things we would like to point out, or if anyone has any particular questions about kind of what we see here on the plan in terms of the outside.
Sure, I can add a little bit, Alize. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Alashi. I work with KDI, and we're doing the landscape architecture work on this project. It's been a real honor and pleasure to get to know some of you over the last few years and see this really moving towards reality. And so thank you to everyone on this call who's been involved in a million different ways in getting this moving. And so, everything Alize said was correct, and really the point of how we've designed this space is, yes, to support the athletic and social programs that you already have at Vare, and really support and complement what you'll see as like an innovative and beautiful building. And what we've really taken to heart in a lot of these spaces is both creating things that are multifunctional. They don't just have one purpose. We can use them in multiple different ways, can support different types of programs, but also that has balances sort of the active side of Vare, the athletic, et cetera, but also the community side of Vare, having spaces to, hang out with your kids or meet a friend, having spaces to do, conflict resolution, or having outdoor classroom, which we know is much more important now with COVID being the reality that it is. And so we're hopeful that this sort of encapsulates a lot of what we've heard from y'all throughout the last couple of years about your priorities and values in the space, and happy to answer any questions about specific programs or ideas y'all have about how things could be designed, or anything that we can clarify, but just wanted to add that to Alize's description of the site plan, and I'm really excited to keep working.
You're only referring to the outside plans, correct?
I'm sorry?
You're only referring to the outside plans, correct? The
Yes,
landscaping?
that is my purview. I'm on the landscape architecture team, and I know we'll be talking about the architecture in a moment as well.
Great. Are there any other questions before we go to the next slide?
Tyreek, did you have your hand up again?
Yes, as far as the architecture, is it like a way that deliveries, as far as like big produce and food that can come in, that we'd be able to set up like big markets for food and stuff in the community? 'Cause I see a lot of the things that I know some parking was available, but would it be space for essential services to be used, especially during like an emergency in the area that we may need space to hand out PPE gear or things like that?
So there are a few ways of getting onto the site from a vehicular access standpoint. So you see that north-south sort of gray pathway, that's all accessible via vehicle. And to the point about parking, there is no sort of dedicated parking on the site, but we are hopeful that you could either access to pull up on that southern side of the building and enter through there to bring, to bring equipment or distribution work, tables, whatever it may be, onto the site, and use sort of the middle plaza as a way of like distributing that, whatever it may be, food, et cetera. There should be enough space there to just pull a truck up alongside it and offload, or you could go directly into the building there without any steps or something that would be hard if you're carrying a lot of equipment. So hopefully that answers your question, but happy to give any more detail if that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Is the white X, is that the area for the pool?
Yeah, that's correct. The pool is sort of currently is staying as is. We're not designing anything new in that space, but it is, still part of Vare as a whole. It's not getting demolished. That's the word I was looking for. So just to be clear, it's staying in place, but we're not doing any improvements during this funding.
And it will be staying in place functional, like a functional pool as well.
That's correct, at its current
Thank
sort
you.
of level. Yeah, thanks, Yasmin.
Are the what is it, the like little water park for the kids? Is that still within the slides? I'm just logging on, so that's the reason why I'm asking. You may have said it prior to, but I'm not sure.
No problem. Ian just circled the sort of spray ground area. It's that light blue shape in the middle of the plan. So we were including that as a way, since we had heard from folks, sometimes younger kids or don't have the access to, the pool. And so that's a nice way of being sort of an intergenerational water space.
So what's the darker color blue area?
That's the playground. You'll see sort of two shapes. The smaller one on the top is largely for younger kids. And so there's, thank you. There's like a seesaw and some like rubber play mounds and some other pieces of equipment. And in the larger shape on the right, there's 7 different swings, a larger play mound with a big slide, one of those sort of like climbing rope structures you've probably seen around as well. And so that's sort of an all ages space that could be more focused towards kids that are over the age of 6, but it's those 2 spaces are the play area.
So is there another space for children older than 10?
Yeah, in terms of, we also have ping pong tables, chess tables. There's sort of a seating grove for people who want to just like hang out with friends. What we've heard a lot from the teens that we talked to as part of this program was really a lot about like just wanting to have a space to relax and to sort of hang out with 1 or 2 other people. And so we've tried to build spaces that could accommodate a class of 20 people, but also just a smaller conversation if you wanted to hang out with a couple friends. But there's no specific like playground space for like, teenagers essentially, if that was clear.
So they just have a hangout space there just to sit, no activities for them?
Do you have any suggestions for what you would think a good activity may be?
I'm just asking because you spoke of things for the younger children, so we have to think of the older kids if they're going to have if they're going to be on the outside space, utilizing that also, because the field will be utilized by the football team. So where does that leave the other children in the neighborhood being able to do something within the outside space?
Yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying. And I think that we've tried to address that through different sort of design pieces on the site, but are of course open to ideas that you may have with, your own teenagers or teenagers, what they could potentially be interested in terms of a specific built space too. So
we'll get back with you with it.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
Can I make a quick comment? This is Tiffany from Councilman Johnson's office. I do understand what Naima is saying in terms of like the older kids participating, but most of the youth, and as we all know, they're programmed into their social media accounts, TikTok, all that type of stuff. I'm not sure if this particular area shows any places where, like it's a space where they can like plug in, their phones, or they come with their laptops or on their iPads and things of that nature. So, I mean, the older kids more than likely will probably be inside the rec center hanging out as opposed to being outside, but it'll balance between both. I mean, I think the younger, like if you're older sibling, you have younger siblings, you're going to more than likely hang out in the playground area where the smaller kids are. and just probably hang out with your friends. Because teenagers, you know, they go up and down with what they want to do. So
Well,
that's just
over
my
at Vare, the teenagers do utilize the outside space because it's a
yeah, I'm not
different
saying
set
that they
there.
don't. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
not saying that they don't. I'm saying to you that, you know, it's a balance between it because teenagers, you know, they'll hang outside or they'll hang inside the rec center. I mean, I've seen it plenty of times, especially at Vare. I've seen
right.
the
And in
teen
the
lounge.
summertime, a lot of them, they stay outside as opposed to inside unless they're doing the activities in the inside. And when the programs ran, the program was inside and outside. So they utilize both spaces.
So are you saying like swings and stuff for the older kids? Is that what you're
Some
saying?
older kids be on there. They be over there at 24th Street. The older kids be swinging.
Okay.
They do. Yeah, they do.
And so maybe just to add to that too, that playground on the right-hand side, that has 7 different swings, like, and the sort of like climbing, it's about 7, actually it's about 10 feet high. And so that's of course space that older kids can use as they're interested. And I think it's sort of, to Tiffany's point, it's probably, in my opinion, the hardest group of folks to design for because teenagers want their independence and want to do what they'd like to do. And so I think hopefully between, you know, the athletic programs, but then also either passive spaces for folks to just hang out. And I hear your point, Tiffany, about like outlets for folks. Yeah, particularly on this sort of community stoop space that Ian is just highlighting as a way to sort of like, as the central part of the plaza. But then there's also opportunities for if they just want to hang out on the swings or, you know, like play in the splash ground, doesn't mean you're not allowed to just because you're a teenager.
Hey,
Well, you know, how about a workout area over there, sort of similar, something like Smith has for older children. They work out inside and outside. If the gyms are being utilized, there's nothing for the teenagers to do. That's something that they could do outside to utilize some of that space to do something.
Gotcha. Thank you, Naima.
Is it a dedicated spot, at least like Comcast, or somebody can have like an advanced Wi-Fi or something like that? Because one of the challenges at Vare, like partnering with Wi-Fi connected to that device is maybe like that area could be a place. That's what a lot of them be on social media, but they never could get that. They always cover like the AT&T and things like that. So maybe it's that area, and especially in Great Fair, our digital divide, you know, across the city is down, and that can help the education part inside the key spots for them using some of their electronic devices and things like that to partner with some of the libraries in the city too.
This is Alize. I think that's a great suggestion, and I think we had similar modes of thinking, and I was fortunate enough to run into someone from Comcast who works within their marketing department who knew Connor and was very, very excited and interested to see how they may be able to work with us. So that's something that we're exploring. Would love to see what we could even do to get them involved with the computer room or some things like that on the inside, you know, as we start to, you know, fine tune, you know, what we're actually going to be able to deliver in terms of programming space and the like. So, you know, we'll talk to that when we go through the building.
Warren, did you have something as well? Sorry, Claire.
That's what I was going to say.
Great, Warren.
Hey, how y'all doing? How everybody doing tonight? It wasn't necessarily like something, but I was just looking at the design and going through like the different series and different designs that we had in mind, and I'm just trying to understand or see where is like the common areas inside the building per se, because I don't see like a multi-purpose room or nothing. I just see big indoor basketball court, a big gymnastics room, and I'm gonna assume some offices where a meeting's gonna be held at.
Warren, that's actually a great segue. We were going to move on to the building next. So if there aren't any other questions on the site, maybe we can move on.
I have a question.
Okay, so Warren, we'll get back to your question.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to know if the design that's being used for the playground is inclusive for people with various disabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are sort of a couple different ways that we're thinking about it. One is in the sort of actual equipment itself, right? So the large majority, if not all of the pieces on the play ground are accessible for folks with physical disabilities. There's a transfer platform so that you're able to use the slide. There's also an ADA accessible swing that's going to be included, as well as same on the tot side of things. And then to the larger point too, is that we're certainly being very sensitive to the types of colors that we use for folks that have different neurosensitivities, as well as like learning challenges as well. And so we've tried to create a playground that has some like high activity zones, but also is accommodating children who would rather have sort of like a slower mode of playing. But yes, we are, and that goes for the entire site. The entire site, including the community stoop right now, is an accessible space. So thanks for that question, Lisa.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And I'll also put my email in the chat. If anyone has any further questions they think of, please feel free to email me.
That's great. Thank you, Lauren. In the interest of time, let's move on to the next slide. And I will turn it back over. Yeah.
Yes, so here's a slide showing the building and wanted to, first let you guys know that, we're really looking into this deeply. And, we hear the community's concerns and desires to have additional more programming space. And so certainly what pops out here with the blue bubbled areas are areas where we're actually diving into and looking at, hey, can we actually deliver something more than what we showed previously, understanding that we did share great news regarding the increase in the budget. And so kind of the areas in the blue are still being studied, but I will just kind of walk you through kind of the design thinking. Ultimately, as you come in through the front vestibule door here, you're going to have a common area here in this hallway, which ultimately can serve as flex meeting space when necessary, to the extent that you have weather conditions outside or other things that may necessitate the use of the space here. As you see, as we fully develop it, there will be furnishings and other things that would be movable to where we could have that serve as a kind of a flex space that would be multifunctional. As you kind of continue down the corridor, obviously we have one of the main features being the indoor basketball court, which is phenomenal. And what I want to point out is that since we have such a large space, we're looking at options of perhaps being able to provide kind of curtain dividers and then programming and scheduling the space so that larger events that might need to be hosted by the community or others, it can be utilized in a multi-purpose fashion. So I wanted to just make sure that we brought that out and highlighted that. To the rear of the basketball courts, again, just noting that what we are doing is really trying to see how we can optimize this space here and create some additional spaces. It's all really going to be relative, obviously, to the budget, but want to make it clear that we're looking to do everything that we can to provide as much space for programming, understanding our constraints. As you kind of continue through, we have a full gymnastics facility. It's going to be amazing, brand new equipment, and certainly a beacon, as Councilman Johnson said, within the community and all of the city of Philadelphia, when we kind of put these things here together. So wanted to share that, and certainly if there are any questions, would love to respond to them.
When you say potential for additional program space, can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So
have you decided basically? Can you show that?
Yeah. Well, we presented some ideas and alternative to make the world better group to rebuild, and it's being given strong consideration. So as we fine tune and finalize the budget and we actually can get hard numbers from our contractors, I think that determination will be made. But what we're showing here is a larger footprint and additional space that we hadn't shown previously. And we're evaluating that. We wanted to make sure that we showed you guys that we're looking at everything that we can possibly do to try and figure out how to get more space here within the constraints that we have of the site and the budget.
Okay, I have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Corinne. I'm one of the coaches for Vare. I'm just curious, one of the things that was brought up some time ago was about, should we have cement floors in the gymnastics room? And all three coaches expressed definitely should not have cement floors in a gymnastics room. So that was one of the questions. Do we know what the flooring is going to be in the gymnastics room?
Eric or Joe or who are our architects on there? Do you guys?
So currently what we have is we have just regular concrete floors in the gymnastic space, and not a wood floor that would be covered by the other pieces of equipment.
Okay, because the concrete floors are
That's a
actually,
no.
yep, there's very dangerous for gymnasts and dancers as well, because there's no shock system in that. And if a child rolls off a mat or falls off something and lands on the cement floor or concrete floor, it's not the same as falling onto a wooden floor.
Yeah, we can evaluate the.
Yeah, I would say definitely do that. My second question was, they also talked about putting windows for the outside, and we requested not windows, as far as we have a whole Muslim community of gymnasts, that the children wouldn't bill practice if there's windows for people from the community just to walk by and kind of look in, because they have special requirements of wearing a key mark, and in gymnastics they are allowed to take it off. And so I'm just wondering if they actually decided not to go with the windows.
We do not have any low windows. Originally we had a window off of the corridor. In a viewing area that has gone away. Any windows that we have for this space are going to be up high.
That is awesome. I really, really appreciate that.
Yep.
And then my last question,
Oh,
since
okay.
we're here, then I'm hey, yes. My last
Sorry, I
question
thought you were done.
I wrote my little questions down so it'd be quicker. And then my last question was, one of the things we talked about from 2 years ago was about having a mud room. It doesn't have to be big, but where the parents could be in that area, because prior at Vare, we had a lot of parents in the hallway in this little foyer area with strollers and babies, sometimes running into the room, running under the beam and putting the child and the gymnast at risk. And so from 2 years ago, one of the things we've continued to talk about was a small mud room where parents could safely watch, but we could also be respectful of our Muslim community at the same time. So I was wondering if that was still in the plan. That was my last question.
That was one of the things that we were evaluating as we laid out the space. Obviously, we have constraints here, so I think it's something that we can further look at and see if it's a possibility. Again, we're very tight on space in the gymnastics area, but we'll see if there's the workaround that we can come up with.
I really appreciate that, because that way we can meet the needs of the parents that are part of the program, and then all of our children can tumble freely, and then we wouldn't have the hallway and put in anybody out of their space as well. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Corinne, quick question. Do you have an idea of how many parents we would want to think about capacity for that particular room?
So generally we have, I would say more or less for our beginners, intermediates, we have a lot of the smaller 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 up to 8 years old where we have parents. So I wouldn't say no more than 20. But the conversation we had was where even our gymnasts could kind of come through that way, and then the parents and the strollers, everything could be in that area, which would be out of the immediate walkway for anybody in the community that's, coming by. But I would say no more than 20. So it wouldn't be a huge space, but enough that the parents with their younger children and infants and whatnot would able, to watch their child during their class, because like advanced or beginner and intermediate advanced classes are generally not as long as the teen classes. So for them to drive there and then leave in 45 minutes, if they have especially a newborn or a stroller and a younger child, they could utilize the whole playground, or if they want to watch their 3-year-old or 4-year-old or 5-year-old, whatever, they could be in that mud room. And it also is protection because we've had children from the outside community run right past us through the Vare and jump on the floor and just throw themselves out, where it could have caused an injury and whatnot. So by having a mud room, like that's the entrance way, would also be a safe way to allow, everybody to be safe and comfortable. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corinne. I see
I
Eric.
have another quick question about the gymnastics room. And I'm sorry I can't see because I'm on my phone and it may actually already be on here. The other thing that we discussed was the gymnastics room having its own changing area and or bathroom so that the girls didn't have to keep leaving out of the gym room and Leo's, leotards, because they're really young in gymnastics. And there's additional programming going on in the building. So we don't want, like our 5-year-old girls in leotards running out having to use the bathroom while, there's men also like going in and out playing basketball and stuff like that. Just, for the purpose of privacy and just keeping those things separated. Were we able to accommodate that? And I'm sorry if it's on here already. I just can't see it on my phone.
So we have 2 changing rooms right in the gymnastics area, right on the backside of that office. Thank you. And then what we did is we created we created an access door out of the gymnastics area and we have the women's bathroom directly above that. And we also have another bathroom to the right of the main entrance door to the gymnastics down the hall. So the better access will be from the gymnastics studio into the bigger bathroom area because it's less travel down a hallway, go out the door and go right into the bathroom.
Hey, can I chime in on that real quickly? That was one of the things we talked about, was having a little private bathroom in that mud room. That's all I'm going to put, but yes, thank you so much. But that's one of the things that we were talking about too, where the girls are in their Leos and walking out of that space, but that was one of the conversations, so thank you.
I had a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Do you know what the square footage of the additional space is highlighted in the blue? And the other question I had is the building going to be built by unions, or is it going to be like private contractors?
It's union contractors building the building. As far as the square footage for the blue areas,
both together add up to around 500 square feet as we've been exploring them.
Thank you, Jim.
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment. I assume there will be another plan to show what was done with the additional space where you say potential. If we were to look at the design as it is today, it would be true. You only have one classroom.
Currently in the plan, there are 2 classrooms and we provided a divider curtain between the 2. So if you wanted to have a bigger program space, you could take back the divider curtain. Yep. And then
I couldn't see that. Now you made it big. That's better.
Yep. So it's giving one, a bigger, a potential, meeting space there. And you do have the ability to have programming, some additional programming. You can split the gym in half with a divider curtain and have programming in there and still have, the ability to have people on the other side of the gym. Be it that it will be noisy because people would be in the gym, but you have flexibility there as some flex program space. I think someone asked in the chat, what was the floor for the gym? It would be a wood floor for the for the gymnasium.
Okay, my question, are they going to use the gymnasium for any other purpose, like a baby shower or receptions or whatever?
I see that gym being used for multiple different opportunities there.
The whole gym or just half the gym?
You could use the whole, you could use the half. We will have a divider.
Albert?
We would have a
Yeah, the
divider curtain
divider.
right in the middle of the gym. It's a drop down divider curtain.
Okay. And as far as changing in the gymnasium for basketball, the bathroom and everything, it's on the outside of the gym?
Yeah, the
Correct,
bath.
across the corridor.
Yep.
Okay, but they won't use the whole gym totally for receptions and all that. They'll just use half of the gym?
It's however however it gets programmed.
So, Mr. Ed, I think basically like what you trying to get around to, so probably somebody put in for a permit to have a baby shower in there that day, depending probably how long it's going to be. They'll probably even out if somebody going to be running basketball in there or it's going to be a baby shower, the same way they do like in the other rec centers. So I guess that's probably just breaking it down on a utilization of it. So like if somebody just want to have a get together, they probably can pull down a portion and then one side can be used for basketball. But if somebody probably having a big event, they probably going to use the whole gym.
So I thought the purpose, when we had the meeting almost 2 years ago, we discussed the purpose of Vare and how Vare really generates a lot of its money. And it comes from from baby showers, weddings, receptions, and other events that's there. So someone has to pay for utilizing space that's part of a basketball court, that if they're running a league or having a game, they have the noise from the audience and the basketball going on at the time of another event. Is that what you're saying? Is not going to, nothing's going to be muted at any time.
That's
So
correct.
I'll
The
be able,
drop
if
down-
I had something there, I would be able to hear everything that's going on in the gym right next to me, correct?
That's right. The drop down curtain from the roof is not an acoustic curtain. It's just to divide the space physically. So the two spaces north and south of the divider, they'd have to be conducive to each other. That you couldn't have two completely different activities. One that might be a nuisance for the other at the same time.
So the basketball can come through and hit somebody that's on the other side that may be utilizing the space.
Can I interject, please? So this is Catherine from Parks and Rec.
Okay.
You know, we have a recreation leader and we'll have several recreation leaders at the new Vare. And, you know, a recreation leader, facility supervisor, and then recreation leaders to support that facility supervisor. You know, for all of our recreational facilities, yes, we do offer them out for repasts, for, you know, baby showers, but the primary purpose of the recreation center is for recreation, right? Those other events would be secondary, you know, uses if the space is not already permitted or being used for recreational activities. That said, you know, we would also schedule, as we do at all of our other facilities, to ensure that there weren't competing uses happening in the facility.
So
And
I understand everything that you're saying because I'm in the neighborhood. I've been utilizing Vare since 1996 when my son was in Biddy Ball there. I understand how Vare works. However, I know just like everyone else on this phone line knows that Vare generates money from events. That's how Vare makes his money. That's what keeps Vare afloat. It's not all Parks and Recs. Let's be honest. So right now at this point, basically, it's not real. Y'all really didn't, when y'all did this community meeting, it was just to say that y'all had one. Because the reality is this Vare is not all of what the community wanted. There's less space even now with COVID being in, with the way the plans were designed, the employees there don't even have any space. They have one big room and they're all there. There's no place for privacy if a member wants to come and talk to someone that's employed at Vare. There's no space at all. There should have been something implemented now with COVID being in place. Did you change the designs for that? There should be partition or some type of privacy there. 2 rooms at Vare is not enough. This seems like it's more accommodating to how y'all want it and not for what the community had asked for. And that's just being honest. Like y'all can go all around the world with everything that you're saying. We already know how Vare operates. If Vare's supposed to be the gym for the community and a gym of rebuild, then y'all really should have listened to the community and did what the community asked for, more of what the community wanted, not scale back what the community asked for and put more of y'all own ideas in there, because y'all aren't there every day at Vare. These kids are there every day at Vare. It's nice to have outside space, but right now we have a lot of gun violence going on, a lot of killings, a lot of kids being killed outside. They're not going to be utilizing the outside space as much as the inside space, and there's really no inside space for them either. And it started being utilized for different programs now. So they're still being kicked out. It doesn't make sense. Y'all have not listened to us for real, really at all.
Can I, this is Tiffany from Councilman Johnson's office really quick. So here's the thing, and I'm also a South Philly resident, been aware of what Vare been doing for the last, I don't know how long. It's always been a valuable, upbeat, most used, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, rec center probably in the city. So with that being said, I understand Naima's concerns in terms of like making sure that space is available. But to Catherine's point about it being secondary, right? Recreation centers is what it is, a recreation center. So kids are going to be able to use, families, parents, people are going to be able to use the facility. I don't think that not considering the community took place here. I think considering the community took a lot of impact. It's just that it's not a facility from my eyes to just focus on having open space for people to host events, when we need to make sure that those spaces that are open is for programming and activities.
There still isn't enough space for programming if you only have 2 rooms.
Naima, let me finish my comment, please.
Go ahead.
I didn't cut you off. Let me finish my comment. So with that being said, I think that we need to really just focus on, just like you were saying, the gun violence is high in the community. Programs and activities is what stimulates the mind of our youth. If there's enough programs and activities at a rec center, they will come. But if we're opening up for people to have baby showers and events, that is secondary. That should not be the first thought. There's plenty of our event spaces throughout the city of Philadelphia that people can go and rent a space to have an event. So I think the focus needs to be focused back on the youth with programs and activities. That's it.
I'm focused on the whole scenario of Vare, the entire Vare, not just one particular thing, because Vare focuses not one particular thing. It's everything within the community, everything. You can't slight, you're slighting one and not negating the other. That's what's being done. If Vare is a place for everything, and has been. People have moved outside back, they moved out of the neighborhood and come back to Vare just because they have been at Vare. So Vare is the gym for everyone.
I think we're saying the same thing, Naima.
I believe that.
But I'm just saying, you can't negate what you listen. The design, it just really wasn't all of our input that took our time and effort going over there for the past 2 years. All of that is not our ideas. It's not. And I'm just being honest. It took a little bit of it and that's it.
It definitely should be more of a focus on the community resources and the programming that's needed today. And to speak on the gun violence, especially not on the elected official capacity, but it's actually working in the area that it's in. So to enhance what Vare has will be probably the best way to go. So to have more of the community input, like they're saying, it should reflect what the community needs are. The basketball court is big, the gym is big. How about if we reduce those or use the space that they have and put the multi-purpose space there, put the things that's needed. And when you talk about the events for community, like trauma is real, but when you have baby showers, birthday parties, repasses, that helps with the quality of life that we're dealing with in our community, especially with the violence and the truancy and those things. But there needs to be a space that represents the whole community at large.
Can I add too? Just real quick, and this has been a conversation that's been going on for a while, and I guess I'm gonna put Jeffrey on the spot. And I guess the better world team on the spot as well. I guess it seemed like, and I wasn't a part of this whole process. I know my staff probably didn't attend the meetings, but I guess just to clarify, it seemed like the main gist of the conversation is, and I know people enjoy having that room that's upstairs at Vare to basically have, it was basically always a community space. It's where, which was mentioned, yeah, baby showers, not just so much the stuff that generates money, but also just a multi-purpose room where we did just about any and everything, community meetings and so forth. And so I guess I'm gonna put it out there. And day camp, well, yeah, I don't know about the day camp part, but it was just a multi-purpose room where everything was actually taking place. And it seems like, from what I'm hearing, this pretty much, now, and I do want people to understand on the phone though, like I just gotta be upfront. Like, this is a huge, like, exceptional undertaking. I gotta say that up front because I know what I'm competing against with my other colleagues around the city, and they're not getting this. But it seemed like it's only one small part that I have to put out there and make the world better and rebuild. And I know designs cost money and so forth, and it is what it is, but like, could there be just one space, right? That's a nice size for a multi-purpose room. Then it seemed like it'd be a little bit of everything. You got the gymnastic space, which is pretty huge. You got, I guess this is 10 basketball courts, which is pretty huge. And it seemed like the community center, you got your 2 classroom sites down here, which we already have at Vare, but right now they don't have, which they have right now under the dilapidated building, which is a multi-purpose space where they've been enjoying themselves at for all their lives. And I think at least that's what I'm hearing. But to be upfront, that's what I've heard, not even on just this call, but just from people talking about it. So I thought we were getting there, and I see where it says potential for additional program space. I guess obviously that's not, is that partition space or that's actual, we actually carved out a new room?
I hope it's a new.
Yeah, Kenyatta.
And this is to David Ings, because he brought that to my attention, like, dude, like, what's up?
Yeah, so I think in terms of this additional space, we've been spending the past several weeks and month or so diving into that detail, into those details, and these areas that are highlighted. The reason we haven't shown more detail is because every time you make changes, there's ramifications to the mechanical systems and foundations and things of that nature. So I think we do hear you, and we're trying to make changes. There's sort of a domino effect of things, but we have made some good progress. And we talk to the rebuild team on a daily basis, and we had 3 different versions of the floor plans that were going around before this presentation up until the last minute. And so we just, part of this is managing expectations and not promising something that we ultimately can't deliver with our mechanical engineers and structural engineers. But we do hear you, and Alizé has done a lot of work recently with Steph and the advisory council on understanding the programming, and some of these spaces that we're looking at designing have been, sort of thought about to take into account the needs, the current programming needs at Vare. So, we might not be able to provide a 5,000 square foot flex space that is strictly for parties, but we're trying to be really creative with getting as much usable space as possible. I know that's not the answer that we all want at this moment, but we are spending a lot of time with the design team and Rebuild and Parks and Rec, diving into these details. And that's specifically why we highlighted these areas, to show you that we're thinking about it.
Hey, I just want
Let me
to
say something.
interject something. While you are making your decisions for this potential space, I just wanted to insert that it would be more appropriate if they were actual physical rooms. Because at Vare today, you did have a room with computers. If you didn't have that potential additional space blurb there, where would computers go? Because we did have that, and that's appear to be a part of this plan. But so, well, at a high level, I just wanted to say, when you come back with the update to what we're looking at right now, those blue areas should be physical rooms. I just want to say that, as opposed to I don't know.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
My name is Mr. Bill. What kind of floor is that gym going to be made out of?
Wood.
What kind of floor is the gym going to be?
Wood.
Wood?
Yes, sir.
How are you going to cover it for the events? Are you going to cover it?
Yeah, this is Catherine again. We do in some of our other gyms, we can provide tarps so that we could cover it if need be for events, for high quality
Now,
floors.
This is going to be on the second floor, right? Second floor of the gym?
No.
There's only one floor. There's only one floor level.
There's only one floor level, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, I had one more question. I'm sorry to take up time. So you guys have one floor. Are you guys going to have a basement or some area for like some type of activities like the weightlifting or anything like that?
That is not in the current plan now.
Can I just jump in for some of the people who may be asking questions who weren't at some of the design meetings? The reason that there aren't upstairs and downstairs is because, Bear originally had an elevator, which would have been costing like $1 million out of the budget just to be able to have an upstairs or a downstairs. And one of the things that we were already coming across is that for the things that we were trying to accommodate for the programming that is already there, we were already over budgeting for. So that's some of the things to take into consideration. And the second thing is some of the questions that are being asked, we're not going to, at no point are we going to be taking away from current programs to accommodate possible potential community events. We will figure out a way to make sure that to make it work like we have been doing. And I don't think that that's going to be a big deal, but we're definitely not going to reduce basketball. We're not going to reduce the gymnastics room. We're not going to reduce, the after school programming and things that already accommodate the kids who are already being serviced at Vare.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yasmin. I appreciate everybody's comments. It's always really helpful to have these conversations and for everyone on the project team to hear these concerns. And as Yasmin alluded to here, budget has been a huge constraint here, even with additional funding. And the building being a relatively small footprint on the entire site is still a very large portion of the budget. So it is quite a balancing act, in addition to knowing that certain programming spaces like gymnastics and basketball needed to be maintained within the space. It's been a long haul here. I know we had intended for a brief break, but I think before we do, Warren, did we address your question or did you have another question?
I don't even want to ask my question. Just go ahead, finish.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't we take a quick break, bathroom break, water, take a bite, and we will come back at 7:25. Since we've been fielding a lot of questions throughout the conversation, I think that'll be okay to sort of shrink down that dedicated Q&A period. But we'll see you back here in just about 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get started again as folks rejoin. So what we wanted to do next, I know we still have a number of things we want to cover, and we're certainly going to end on time. So if I could ask Ian, I know our architect Ian, I believe, is still on. We wanted to.
I'm here.
Okay, hey. So Ian Smith is here. He's part of the architecture team along with Eric and Joe, who you were just hearing from. Steph, if you wouldn't mind sharing screen again and going to slide 9 so that we can show folks some of the elevations of the building. And Ian, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind keeping it to even 5 minutes or even less, just to quickly sort of present some of these images for folks.
Be happy to do so, and just tell me to shut up when it's time. All right. Cool. Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you know, I've been trying to feed my face, so I haven't been able to be very vocal, but I've been here the whole time. It's good to see everybody. I'm really excited. So if I could start out by, you know, sort of, you know, telling you why and what we did here. We really want to try to deliver joy, and sort of perseverance, right, to the outside of this building. So what you're going to see here, I have my little stylus here. I'm going to talk about this. So right here in the upper left-hand corner, that's the front of Vare, and that's what we've been thinking about. We wanted to bring a lot of color, you know, and a lot of exuberance, but we really wanted to make sure everyone knew where the entry was and how to get in. All right. And you're going to see here that we've tried to incorporate some of the colors that we found, some of the murals that we discovered when we first were walking through Vare. I think now it's going on 2 years ago. And, you know, we wanted to deliver that to the facade or to the building in some capacity. So if you were at Moore Street right here, this is that, and we have 26th Street right here. This is what the view would be like in the upper right-hand corner. And you can see that we're trying to make sure that people know how to get here, know where Vare is, and it has the Vare colors, and really sort of delivering that exuberance. We come a long way to getting to this point, and you know, we're really trying to make sure we're working in the right direction. So we really like to get your feedback on this. In the lower left-hand corner, just a little broader view, a little bit closer in from that corner view, that really shows how we're trying to really talk to kids. We're trying to talk to adults. We're trying to talk to the teens and the aged. And if you can see it, hopefully you can see it. You know, these many different, you know, striations of color are really talking about the many different cultures, the many different people that are coming to this place in order to negotiate, to reconcile, to learn from, and to grow and direct into the future. That is the goal. And what you can see is, if you see this here in the lower left corner, if we go to the next slide over here, you're going to see, oh, well, that's fine. We'll go to that. I was just going to go to the left. So this up here, right? I'm going to clear this. Hold on. We see these colors emerge in the backside of the facility. And what you're going to see is that it's really a welcome mat to, you know, seeing and sort of talking to people in the playground and in the plaza area and the spray ground and the football field. You're going to be able to see these things from all different locations. We're trying to be playful up here in the upper right-hand corner. We're trying to attract the imagination, the aspirations, and hopefully direct people to the right location. You can see how excited I am. I have some energy, right? And then, you know, last but not least, even though this is not necessarily the most exciting facade, we really wanted to make sure that we brought some colors and some striations to it. So you can see that we're really, really excited to try to bring this in, wrap it up tight, and make it a decent present for the community of Vare. So hopefully, you know, in the short sort of presentation here, you can kind of see that hopefully we can, you know, we've sort of signified what Vare means and what Vare is delivering, and hopefully projecting the future, what Vare means to the community as it grows. How did I do?
That's how you deliver a presentation. It really is though. That is how you deliver.
Thank you, Ian. That was great. I think if it's okay with folks, I think we're gonna kind of keep moving here in the interest of time.
Mom, if it's
but,
okay, I ate all your eggs.
I saw that, honey. Thank you. Someone's eating my dinner here. As is the case in many of our houses, the doors are being opened now. Okay, so we are going to move forward here to schedule and program relocation. I just want to see if we had a question. Okay, honey.
I was asking, what are you doing?
Okay, I will quickly touch on schedule. So I know this is something folks are very interested in hearing about. The orange line indicates construction, I'm sorry, which will be starting in this spring. That will begin with the demolition of the building and will be followed by the rest of construction on site. So you'll see we're maintaining that period. The red line above it indicates our design work. So while the building, and we're able to overlap some activities in order to earn back some time. So the idea there was we were able to expedite design and permitting around that building demolition, which will start before all of the designs have been completed. So again, you'll see how that's buying us back potentially even several months to half a year. So that was a great win on the part of the project team. So we're currently working through completing design development and moving into construction documentation very soon for the balance of the site. So those are the broad strokes. I'm seeing some comments come through. Okay, yes, we'll be sharing all of this after the meeting as well, the presentation. Are there any questions related to scheduling before we move on to program relocation, which I know we want to reserve?
I can't see the schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know some folks are not able to see the screen. So what we're showing is a spring 2022 start for the building demolition, and that will dovetail into the balance of construction. So the first thing that will happen on site will be the building will be demolished. And that will start this spring, hopefully early spring. And we're trying to nail down an exact date for that to start right now. And that will continue right now. We're showing construction going through the fall of 2023. And then in terms of the design work, which is happening concurrently, that's going right now. We'll carry through the spring and summer. However, we will have been able to start construction prior in light of the ability to break out 2 different packages and kind of get that demolition work going while the full site plans are still in construction documentation.
So that's like March or April you're referring to maybe for the springtime?
Yes.
And the building's going to stay closed until then?
That is my understanding from the city. Yes.
So just to be clear, during the time that the building is going to be shut down, this is more along the lines of just securing places for the existing program, that it's going to last. Like the programs that we have will continue to have places to go for their programming.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm sorry, is that Nicole?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, Nicole. Hey, Nicole. Yes, so I know Tom is on. I don't know if John Cooney is on, because I think he's actually with the gymnast at Temple or just left. But I think Tom is our program director. John Cooney is our new district manager for that area. And as you guys know, we've been working closely with you guys. I've been involved as well in the conversations with Temple and the councilman. You know, we're committed to relocating and rehousing all of the programs that are currently happening at Vare, and any other community programs that want to start will find them space elsewhere in our system or outside of our system. And I think Tom, are you still on? Take them.
Yes, Catherine, I am.
If you wouldn't mind, Tom, just talking about where the other, I think it's gymnastics has been rehoused. Just tell me if I'm wrong. Gymnastics has been rehoused at athletic, and
Temple.
Yes.
And then 3 basketball programs have been relocated where?
Point Breeze Pal Center. And as someone mentioned earlier, Athletic Rec Center is going to be available 3 times a week, starting next week. And then when the schools open, the school district, we have South Philly High available for basketball programs, and we have it earmarked for the Vare programs a few nights a week and Saturdays.
Great.
Does anything include the football
What
team?
about for the, oh, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead, Mina.
Does anything include the football team? Because I know one of the Sharks teams were paying out of pocket to rent from City Athletics
Yes,
for their team
right.
to practice.
That's a great question. Now, John, as Catherine mentioned, John Cooney just started a couple weeks ago in the district, and he really worked hard and relocated every program that's currently happening. So the talks, and we're going to start, get together and start thinking about the other programs and where they're going to be relocated once they start.
Can we make sure that we're involved? Can you all make sure that we, the advisory council members, are involved in these conversations so that we're abreast, so that we can make sure that we can also directly contact program leaders to ensure that the programs are all being included? Because I also didn't hear about where the after school program will be relocated to. And Kathy, I wanted to make sure that you were also aware about this as well, because some of these programs can be, pushed to possible Zoom, just so that the kids have access to, those adults and safe spaces, even if they have to be inside of their home on Zoom. Just at least the programs are running and the kids are, accounted for and still safe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kathy. Yeah, the
You're
process,
fine.
John will be working with Kristen, Corinne, and Katie, and they will be in constant contact with you guys to make sure you're involved in all their decisions.
And Yasmin, if you have questions, you can reach out to John. Do you have his contact information?
I do not. John, can you put it inside of the chat, please?
I don't know. I don't know if
It's in
John's
an
on.
email. It's in an email. Katie emailed his contact information.
I can put it in the
email.
chat. I'll put it in the chat as well. John is the district manager for that area.
Thank you.
I will put it in the chat, and John will be the first line of contact for any questions you have about programs who need space, programs that need to be rehoused. We'll be going through all of the permitted programs that happen at Vare on an annual basis and reaching out to those permit holders and people who are involved in those programs to work with them to find alternative space. We started obviously with gymnastics and basketball. The Sharks know that I will continue to always advocate for them and finding them space, which is always a challenge in our city. But Anthony and Warren know that I will continue to work with them, and they know how to get me to help identify space for them. And the after school program, I think, it was a very low enrollment. So we have directed, or will be directing those families to alternative programs in very close proximity to Vare. And then, we will begin to plan now for what we can do in that neighborhood, in the community for summer. We know that even though physically Vare is closed, that there's still going to be a deep need in the community for summer programming. And so we're beginning planning now about what we can do to support the young people with jobs, like we always have, to provide summer camp slots, et cetera, if not physically at Vare, at a location close by, so that we don't see an interruption of normal programs for the community there.
I have a question as far as for the basketball. So who do you reach out? Because we were supposed to utilize Vare, but then they said it was inspections and all that going on, so we couldn't get the time. So, because I was supposed to use the gym for my Ralph Brooks youth. So I'm trying to figure out who do I reach out to, or who is the contact person for gym space now?
Yeah, who is that, Coach Ed, or who is that? I can't see who's talking.
No, this is Al.
Oh, hey, Al, I'm sorry. I can't see who's talking. My screen is so small. Hey, Al. So I'm going to put John Cooney's information in the chat. He's the district manager for that area, and we will help you find gym space. We will also, God willing, Al, soon have access to school district gyms to be able to access them and to able to open them in the evenings. So we're not there yet, but we're close. So I'm going to put John's email information in the chat. And you can reach out to him directly. He's the district manager for this area.
Okay, thank you.
I just put it in there. I'll put my information in too, okay, in case anyone needs to reach out to me.
Can we get a date that's like a tentative date for when the demolition will start? That way we can get everything out of our area that we have to get out of.
So we're targeting early spring, which should be April, maybe late March, April. However, I will defer to the city about, accessing or inability to access the building during that time.
Yeah, so we're working through with various city departments on the condition of the building and what that means for the access. So we're still investigating those pieces. So we certainly will send an update, working really closely with Parks and Rec. So I just wanted to, that information is still kind of pending, but we'll certainly be looping back with some information.
Yeah, I believe was it in February that the inspection, everything was going to be done with the inspection? Is that correct?
So what happens is there's periodic looks at the condition of the building, but we're really ready to kind of mobilize into starting to demolish the building. So those are the things that are kind of flowing together that Claire showed as the schedule. And so at this point, the program relocation is sort of in this rolling piece that Catherine kind of spoke about, that, current programming is getting relocated, looking at the next phase of programs that aren't online, that like the football teams, that's the stuff that's kind of getting worked through. Our hope is that we're in demolition in early spring. And so this is all kind of flowing. There are still some pieces that we're landing around the demolition piece, but I think we're getting really close.
Hey, I had a question. I'm sorry, it's a little loud where I'm at. My question was pertaining to the field usage and basketball court usage during demolition. Will that still be open, or is that something that's up in the air right now? And the second part to that question is, will there be, if it is available, will there be porta potties or anything placed outside for the kids that will be using the basketball courts and the football field?
Yo, I put some papers in your mail.
Anthony, you mean the outdoor basketball courts and the outdoor fields? And correct me if I'm wrong, the question is, during the demolition, will people still have access to the outside fields and the outside courts? And if so, will there be porta potties? Is that your question?
That is correct. That's correct.
So part of, yeah.
So from there, you probably gonna have to, if it.
Okay, thanks, Minnie. Yeah, Anthony, it's not our expectation, based on our conversations with our construction manager, that there would be safe access to any exterior recreational activities. The demolition work is very extensive and invasive, and is not just restricted to the footprint of the building in terms of the mobilization and the sort of buffering of safety needed. So at this point, it is our expectation that the entire site will be closed, including outdoor elements, when the demolition work begins.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer.
Sure.
What's up with the field at 25th and Moore, the football field? How come that's not being used?
Please tell me that's Newman Garetti's.
That's Newman Garetti.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's always, nobody's never doing nothing.
Yeah, you should call Mr. Bill and ask the president of Newman Garetti why you can't get on that field. Because I have called.
Okay.
Anthony and Maura know that.
Okay.
You should call and find out why we can't get on that field. I'd love to know.
Next question.
Whatever happened with getting in contact with the people to utilize the Alcorn, the old King of Peace school down the street at 26 and Reed? Y'all never were able to contact anyone about utilizing that space at all?
Can you say that one more time? I heard, what'd you say?
Well, it used to be King of
Someone's
Peace.
got a lot of background noise. I'm sorry.
It used to be King of Peace School at 26 and Reed. I think now it was part of Alcorn. I know before during one of the design meetings, that was a location that they were going to look into for
Yeah.
programs and stuff. So that way they wouldn't have to travel too far,
Yeah.
and some things could be in the same location.
Yeah. What school is that now? Is that a public school now or no?
I think it's Alcorn, it's nothing. It's not even utilized.
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
use it.
It was before Alcorn Elementary School.
Yeah. And then wasn't it a charter for a minute or no?
It shut
No,
down now.
it was
shut
well.
down.
Alcorn turned it to Universal, took over
Right.
Alcorn, so it was sort of but it's
Right.
not, the space isn't being used at all.
It was
I think-
it was charterless. It was charterless.
Yeah, I
Naima, are
think
you
we
talking
used
about the
it-
annex building? Are you talking about the
Yeah.
small annex building?
So
Yes.
what I was told about that building, y'all, because I reached out to it to try to use the basketball court. For some reason, I had to call Councilman Squilla's office because it's supposed to be like in the archdiocese or something now.
You talking about the school or the field?
It is.
No, they didn't have a field. They have a
We talking
school.
about the school on 26 and Reed.
Right.
That used to be
It
part
was
of
it was an
university.
old Catholic school and the church
Right.
all together.
Gotcha.
But the arch,
Okay.
That
I
means the
don't.
right,
Catholic schools
Universal
are
had
gonna
it.
be rented.
Universal had it or whatever. But when I reached out trying to use it, to use the gym, I had to call Squilla's office because they said all that is under the archdiocese. So that would be the people to reach out for that school.
Yeah, we'll definitely look. We can definitely look into that. I think we might have used that the last time Vare shut down. Do you all remember 4 years ago when we first had to shut Vare down for the few months? Didn't we use that school? I thought we did. Anyway, we'll look into it, and like I said, we're also trying to we're very close to negotiating our deal with the school district to get into school gyms in the evening, which will help a lot too. So we'll keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, I'm grateful to staff for getting access to some, South Philly High, to the PAL Center. We'll continue to maximize any options we can. And like I said, reach out to John if you're in need of space. His information's in the chat, so is mine. If you need space, you let us know. We can't help you unless we know you need it. So you got to let us know what you need, what you're looking for, time, date, how long, and then we'll have someone work with you to find you a place.
Where's the PAL Center for Point Breeze located at?
Hey, Tom, are you still on?
Yeah, it's a couple blocks away. I'm not sure the
33rd
address.
and
I'm not
Wharton.
sure.
33rd and Wharton.
Thank you.
The Salvation
33rd
Army?
and
Yeah, I
Wharton.
think it's the old 30.
32nd and Reed.
32nd and Reed.
The
Wharton.
Salvation Army is the
32nd and
Point
Reed.
Breeze. Is the Point Breeze PAL Center?
Yeah.
The Grace Ferry Power Center.
Oh, I was about.
It's the Grace Ferry Power Center.
Okay.
Eddie have Wednesday and Thursdays in there. Oh, there you go, Eddie, right there.
Are there any other questions about program relocations? Okay, well, our info's in the chat if you need us, folks.
So we'll open it up, and if everyone can please mute if you're not speaking, that'll help us. Are there any other questions at this point? We'll take a couple minutes. Anything that hasn't been touched on, any part of the presentation, any topic, we're happy to field those in the last few minutes.
When will the update to the actual inside of the building be presented? I know you have I guess you have to discuss. I'm just curious when you'll be able to present that.
Yeah, this is Alize. We presented some alternatives to the team internally and to rebuild, and we're really just looking back for direction on that. And will be my expectation that we should have a feel on that before we finalize DDs, which would be in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Stacy, you had a question about safety features. Can you clarify what specifically you were referring to? Feel free to use the chat as well again for that. Any other questions?
I'm sorry. Let me find me. I'm sorry. Where am I at? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. I work for the City of Philadelphia Risk Management, so I'm always concerned about safety features. Just around the building, do you have cameras? Like, what type of safety features are included in the building? I was just curious. Internal, external. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can speak to cameras at this point.
Or just any type of safety features, like it's not a lot of fencing and things like that, I noticed, but do you have any particular type of safety features? I thought at one time, I know they talked about some type of metal detectors and things of that nature. Like, was that being considered, or is it necessary? Had any decisions been made about that?
This is Catherine. I don't think decisions have been made specifically about cameras. I will say metal detectors are not a standard that we employ at Parks and Rec. We don't have metal detectors in any of our facilities. But different safety features that are pretty standard for us now are, of course, fire alarm systems, as well as, cameras are a pretty standard safety feature for us now. I can speak to the rebuild team regarding whether or not that is something that will happen towards the tail end of this project. We're probably not at that point yet. And then, I think I want to, commend the designers, because I think, there's an awful lot of thinking that goes into when you're designing a building, the safety in terms of sight lines for staff, ensuring that a lot of our current recreation centers that were built and designed 50, 100 years ago, are not conducive to really offering safe sight lines. You even think about Vare now, right? And how can one rec leader possibly manage that entire facility? It's just impossible. So in thinking about, when you see the design, sort of the initial designs that you saw this evening and other designs for newer facilities, you see facilities where, sight lines are just much easier within the facility as well as outside of the facility. So, that's really important, but I don't think we're in the weeds yet at that point where we're talking specifically about where the cameras will be located. But I will say that we have probably north of 1,500 surveillance cameras installed at our facilities throughout the city. So it's becoming pretty standard for us, and it's really been a great tool for public space safety, especially when we've had, just this year alone, over 100 shootings within 100 feet of our facilities, and 16 that have happened in the last 6 months on the grounds of our facilities. So definitely a need for us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have Risk on the team.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add to your point, Stacy, about the exterior. So in terms of fencing of the site, the way that the site is currently being fenced is there will be a full perimeter fence around the entire site, similar to what there is now with either the wrought iron fencing or with chain link fence. And there will also be another fence that sort of divides if you remember the site plan, the left half that had the football field, there will be a 6-foot fence in between the football field and the rest of the site. And so within those spaces, there will be 2 entrances into the site that are open for pedestrian access. So one from the northern side of the site and one right next to the playground that will be open for pedestrians as well as through the building. And then there will be one access point in between the plaza and the football field that will be open during recreation hours. And there will be a couple other exits that are only used for emergency exit within the football field fencing. So hopefully that helps in terms of safety on the site as well.
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
Tyreek, you had a question?
Yes, as far as the hiring, I know that the teens get a lot of summer employment. While they're under construction, will the construction contractors have any like general labor jobs for people in the community to pick up some employment during the time that it's under construction, or learn any trades from that person that got the contract? Like, what's the community-based agreement that will benefit the surrounding areas for the construction team?
I don't know if Aisha is still on. I wonder, maybe Angie, would you mind speaking to Rebuild's program and initiatives in that regard?
Yeah, so we've got a couple really great support both a business supports kind of program, which we call Rebuild Ready, making sure that local contractors and vendors are kind of ready to bid on projects through Rebuild that are brought to you by Rebuild. But then we also have a workforce development team, or a workforce development program that is another program that we offer, where individuals who are interested in learning more or in becoming involved in a trades position is able to join one of our cohorts and to be able to do training. So we've got some information up on our website. Clara just mentioned Aisha Herring-Miller, our newest deputy director who joined the team, is working on that program. So we can certainly really encourage you to go up on our website to take a look at it. But we do have some workforce development pieces that I think would fit that. But also from the business support side is also making sure local vendors and local contractors are ready to bid on pieces of the project when we go out to bid.
Well, inside of that, I understand and I respect that capacity, but is it targeted to make sure that the individuals that live in our community get those things from the capacity that they're hired there? Because a lot of individuals don't have access to the internet to go to those things. So will it be a commitment that once they hire, like 10 slots are put to the side for individuals that live in the 4 to 6 block catch area, things like that? Because a lot of the times the contracts do go to groups, but the people who are hired are not from the community that they're building in. And we understand minority is cool, but we want to focus more so on a 1-on-145 and 4-6 surrounding zip codes for this particular project. Is that possible?
So I was just going to chime in and not to make the world better on the spot, but I think that they've done a good job in establishing some goals around this kind of work and inclusion work across the board on the site with their partners. So I would think, and Claire, please push back, but that's certainly a conversation that we could have with the general contractor that's hired around those local hires and team that up, especially once they're mobilizing and have a trailer on the site and there's really a place and a way for people to come and say, hey, I'm interested, and what kind of openings do you have? So I think there's real potential there for some outreach and some possibility without putting out promises on your behalf. But I know you guys have been open in the past.
Yeah, and I know we're trying to tee up a meeting with Aisha and the Rebuild team to talk very specifically about Vare, not just sort of program wide, and figuring out that strategy. And as Kira said, we're committed to working with our contractors as well. I also wanted to give Alex Gilliam, who's here, a chance to just chime in from Tiny WPA about the work that they'll be doing on this project.
Everyone, it's good to see you all and hear your voices. We are excited to be a part of this team and to have been talking with the team kind of continuously about different ways that we can look at workforce development opportunities and skill building opportunities that complement the excellent programs that Rebuild has developed. And I can't give you a whole lot of specifics right now, but we did get some funding organizationally together with Rebuild and Make the World Better to explore the creation of something in this project. It could be a bench, it could be any number of other things that's replicated over and over again that would be created, designed with the community, and so there would be programmatic opportunities there to involve people of all ages in a very STEM development-like process, but then also really have some focused skill building and opportunities for people to learn, earn, and lead from the neighborhood in the creation of that object, and potentially some other opportunities throughout the building that a lot of what we do can't really get settled until honestly some of these other pieces get finalized around the space, both building and exterior. So, but this is our expertise, is working specifically with teens, but also with people of all ages, and really being at a grassroots hyperlocal level that doesn't require, access to an internet to be able to sort of sign up and get involved. And then there are opportunities for people, who are excited and participate in those programs to have further training and job opportunities through us and other projects in the neighborhood and city.
Great, thank you. We have one hand raised, so we'll take one final question and then we're going to Art.
Hi, this is Cheryl Mobley Stimson. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to change the name on my screen, but I just wanted to follow up on the last question that was asked, because I thought that was an excellent question. And I'm wondering if you might be open to students who are in the area who may be pursuing careers in related fields and could perhaps get community service credits by working as mentees or interns or some other capacity. I mean, certainly that opportunity could be there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be paid. I mean, they would benefit. I mean, there'd be mutual benefit there, certainly, but they would benefit from being able to put that on their resumes and also showing progress within fields of study that they've chosen. So I'd be really interested in helping to look into that further, pursue that. I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah, I just say on top of that, certainly when we get a little bit closer to the what is being created, we will absolutely reach out to you. We don't want to replicate anything that's on the ground, already exists on the ground, and we want to plug into those programs and groups that are successful, and it won't work if we don't do that. And certainly any advice you have on, people that we should plug into or reach out to or loop into the program or hire as leaders in the program, we're happy to hear all of that. There is an immediate opportunity I should just pitch that we have a free training program that happens 3 times a year at our workshop in West Philadelphia. It's at 40th and Lancaster. Naima's been there a bunch of times. Naima's been a rock star around there. Thank you, Naima. But that training program is free. It's for 14 to 75-year-olds. It's 8 weeks long, and we will be putting out our application for our relaunch after COVID, which is, we'll start that in probably a month and a half. So there will be an opportunity for people who want to get involved now and even position themselves as leaders to lead others in this work down the road. There's the opportunity for them to get involved now. So, and my email address is in the chat bar, and I put our Instagram account up there too.
I'll follow up with you. Thank you.
Can I
Great,
just
look
say
forward to
thank
talking.
you? Can I just say thank you to Connor Baldwin and everybody that's involved in the fundraisers? If anybody runs a program and you're underfunded, you understand what fundraising, the efforts go into pulling community together, parents and children, and it's not an easy task. So the magnitude of fundraising that's been going on for Vare is astounding. And I think we should just give that shout out to Connor and everybody who is fundraising and doing whatever they can. I'm sure this whole process is not an easy one, and you guys make it look easy, but also we have the community has input. So working together, it's just something that brings everybody together, and just thank you all, because I really know it's not an easy task.
Absolutely. So we can say thank you now. Thanks, Connor, and to all the leaders on the project.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. It's not me. It's everybody here involved.